Hi guys, welcome back to the Carpcraft UK channel. As you can see, we're not out on the bank, but we're back in the house today and we're going to be doing another carp tank test. Today we're going to be looking at these PVA Solid Bags. Now these have become a big part of my fishing over the past few years. If I'm doing a quick overnighter, maybe a short day session, I'll often opt for a solid bag. Now we're coming into the winter months, so we're not going to be chucking out big beds of bait. However, the solid bag is perfect as it just gives that sort of mouthful or two of freebies around your hook bait for the carp to home in on. So today we're going to be looking at the types of bait to use with a solid bag and how they sit within the water once you've cast them out. Now I often opt for pop-ups, small pop-up, maybe a small wafter, maybe a little pellet sometimes. Now, I've had success on all options, but I want to try and increase my chances. So having a look to see how they lie in the water and how they're presented is going to give me the edge. So let's have a look at how I put the rigs together and what bags I use, and then we'll pop them in the tank. Right, let's have a quick look at my rig that I use. Now I've tried every rig possible and different variations, but I've come to settle on my go-to rig. Now I use 3 to 4 inches of uncoated supple braid. It's important you use supple braid because you don't want it to hold any shape or any memory, so that can really disguise itself within the pellets in the bag. And that runs down to a Nash claw hook. Now with my hook I also include a kicker. Now that just closes the gape of the hook, so the fish find it really hard to eject this out. And then my hook bait is fish German rig style, so small micro ring swivel. Now that can travel freely down the shank of the hook, and that's held in place by a hook bead. Now a lot of the fisheries that I fish, they have a barbless only rule, so I can't use any barbed hooks. Now I feel that the Nash claw, with that extra kink in the bottom of the hook, just helps or aids in holding in place within the fish, so they can't eject it as easily. So this is my go-to rig that I use. So let's pop it in a bag and I'll show you how I put the bag together. Right, let's have a look how I put the bags together then. So got me rig. Now I use an inline lead. I use Avid, and I also use the PVA stems that Avid supply. Simple reason, I can tie up 10-15 bags before I even go fishing, so when I get to the lake it's literally loop to loop on and I'm fishing. So now grab your bag. The bags I'm using at the moment are these are the Ridge Monkey Disperse. They come in 3 sizes: small, medium and large. Now for general day-to-day fishing I use just the mediums. If I'm fishing at range, sort of 100 yards plus, I'll opt for the smaller option. I don't think there's any need for the large, if I'm honest. So the way I put it together, pull this out, get your hook bait in. Now I like to go straight in one corner like so, and then I rest my hook along the bottom of the bag. Now pinching the lead in the top corner leaves you a bit of a gap to put your contents in. So first of all, I start with crushed boilie or crushed tigers, or sometimes some bag mix, just to hold the hook and the bait in place. So just a small amount, just to cover the bottom, like so. Keep that straight. Now the main bulk of my bag is 4mm and micro pellets. I like to use sort of a variety of different sizes. Now as I'm filling it up, I then put another bit of sort of crushed boilie in. Now my crushed boilie I do it to fine dust, but I also leave some chunks in there as well, just so I'm getting all sorts of different sizes within the bait. And then as it goes down, just give it a tap so all that dust can find its way into the gaps of the pellet. And then you want to fill that 3/4 of the way up. More. There we go. So 3/4 of the way up. Then I put some more dust in and some more chopped boilies. And then I just position my lead in the centre. Then when you've got it there, just hold it tight. Then give it a good few taps. What I want to do, I want to really work the boilie crumb all the way in to the cracks of the pellet, so I get a nice tight bag. And as you're doing that, you'll see that the level drops because obviously it's condensing down. So then I put it into position, and then I'll just coat it again with some boilie crumb. Right, so now my lead is fully covered. That's quite a full bag. So carry on tapping. And that starts to get nice and tight. Then just put that to one side. Now I tie my bags off just with some PVA tape. Again, I'm using the Ridge Monkey Disperse at the moment. Pull off a good amount. No point sort of scrimping with this because it's just harder to tie. Then just hold it nice in the center and just give that a twist. Push in nice and tight, and then I give it just a couple of turns. Then take your PVA tape and I give that some good tight turns, and then just simple overhand knot on the top. Right, so that's tied in. Now I just trim them bits off with the scissors, and then you're left with this frayy bit. Now you can twist it and stick it down if you like, but I just trim it off. If I'm going with the smaller bags, I'm casting at range, I'll probably sort of twist it around the bag stem, but just general day to day, trim it off, less in the water to get in the way. Then your bag's almost complete. Now this is fairly tight, fairly firm, but then I just take my thumb and I push the corner in like so, pull it back out, and then I work it so it's nice and tight around the corners. And then just lick it and stick it, and then hold that down sort of 3 to 5 seconds, should be enough. And then with the other side, now the other side's got the hook bait in, so just sort of work it around the bait. That's the bag now complete. As you can see, it's pretty tight. Got the crumb on the bottom. Now that's creating a nice hard surface, so that can sort of travel through the air nice and firm. And then we've got the pellet and the crumb, which is all sort of falling into the cracks of the pellet. Now there's a reason why I use quite a lot of crumb within my bags. Now that's because I inject the bags with oil, just using one of these syringes. Now I tend to use a lot of bait work stuff, so I use Atlantic Heat, and I'm using the Creamino at the moment. So I'm going to be trying the Atlantic Heat. And now I'll just poke it in a few places and inject around about 30-40 ml of liquid. Now with the crumb, that's going to absorb the oil in, and then as it hits the bottom, as it stays underneath the water, it'll be kicking out that scent smell for longer. Now that's why I use all the crumb. So what I want to do now is look at the options between the wafter and the pop-ups. So I've made a few bags here. What we're going to do, pop them in the tank, and we'll see how they present. Right, now we're going to drop in the solid bags into the tank. I've got 2 here with 12 ml pop-ups. I believe they're Baitworks sent from hell. And we've got 2 bags with wafters on. I've got a mainline large dumbbell wafter, and I've got a Baitworks Pineapple small wafter. So on the left hand side here, we're going to be putting the 2 wafter bags, and then on the right hand side, the 2 pop-ups. Right, as we can see now, the bags, those pop-up bags have sort of exploded. Now here go the wafter bags. Now them pop-ups, they're sticking up pretty high above the actual contents of the bag. You can see this white one still got quite a lot of bag residue, around the hook bait. That's generally going to break down shortly. Right, now that residue is not touching the bag at all. So that's propped up about ½ an inch above the bait. Now the yellow one at the back, that is up a good few inches. So I think that's a bit too much for my liking. I think I would prefer to have that with maybe a tungsten kicker or possibly a bit of putty on the line. Now if we look over at the wafters, now that pink wafter, that's sat perfectly at the end of the bait there. And the baitworks one at the back, well, that's still buried somewhere in the middle. So I think for me at this point, the dumbbell wafter is looking promising, and if I can pin that hook length down, that pop up good as well. Right, there we go. That was really interesting. That is how the solid bags look when submerged in water. Now, sort of learnt a few things there. The pop-ups, sometimes they were coming up and they were a good couple of inches up. Other times they were sitting just above the pellet. Now I think that is the way that the bag lands and the line being trapped by the pellet. So going forwards, I'm definitely going to be incorporating a bit of tungsten putty, onto my line, just to ensure that that hook bait is not too far up above the freebies. And the wafters, every time the wafters have come out of the tank, they're right at the end of the pellet. So when the fish gets down, it's going to trough into that sort of amount of freebies. It's going to nail your hook every time. So I think going forwards, if I'm going to be using the wafters, I'm going to be going with the slightly larger dumbbell ones. And if I'm going to be using pop-ups, I'm going to definitely be incorporating some sort of way to weight the hook down a bit, either putty or a kicker. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I hope you can take something away from this video, incorporate it into your own fishing, and I hope it helps you catch more fish. Right, thanks for watching, guys.